Okay, folks, we are back, and hey, the phones are lighting up, so I'm going to shut my own monologue down here. And we had Bill calling in from Virginia on a cell phone, so we had a lousy connection. Let's hope he's there. Bill, you're on Let Them Play.
Hey, this is Bill. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Your connection's not great, but we're going to deal with it. What's going on, Bill?
Okay, it's actually an IP line, so I was part of that check swing conversation.
Bill, if you can hear me, you got to call in from a landline. I apologize. If you can call from a landline, please call back. I want to hear what you got to say, but you sounded like the man from space over there, so I really can't help you out, Bill. You know what? We got Mike, Mike is on line 3. Mike, you're on Let Them Play. What's going on, bud?
Hey, Tony, it's Mike from Lindenhurst.
Mike from Lindenhurst. How you doing, bud?
How are you? I love your show.
Thank you.
Hey, listen, I've been getting a lot of nice tips. The one thing I really wanted to ask you about, because I do love coaching my kids, but we do run into this dynamic you've been talking about. I want to get some advice on how to not bring it to my house. How do I keep it out of my home?
Oh. When you say keep it out of your home, you're talking about kind of constructive criticism after the game, or just the?
I'm talking about sitting at dinner and going over what we should have did right, what we didn't do right, what we should have did there. And it's not just me; it's the entire family.
Well, you know what? Here's an easy way to do it. In past shows, we've talked about the proper ways to give constructive criticism to your kids, and I will tell you, the dinner table is a great place to do a lot of things. If you are competitive and you have competitive kids and you're a sports family, and I learned this, one of the few things my wife does right is she says we don't talk sports at the table. And thank God she did, because we used to do the same thing. I used to think, when I first started doing this, wow, what a great chance for us all to talk. And the next thing you know, food, it looks like a scene from Animal House. We're all getting so upset with each other that we're throwing food. We're not really throwing food. Mima's going to call in 2 seconds and give me garbage about it. But the best time to address your kids, it sounds hokey, at night. I don't know how old your kids are, but at some point, even if they're in high school, at some point at the end of the day, meaning the night, I don't know if you still kiss them goodnight, but at some point you have an exchange with your kid which says, have a good night, see you in the morning. That tends to be the best time. And if you take an approach, and we have this thing called the praise sandwich, where you slip your criticism in between a couple of nice compliments. Talk at the level of your kid. If little Jimmy struck out in the bottom of the last inning because he, let's say, bailed out on an inside pitch, you don't just say, Jesus, why did that happen? You say, hey, Jimmy, I got to tell you, it's such a treat watching you play. You're really becoming something, and I know you're working at it, and when you realize that just by getting your hands in front of your body a little quicker, that inside pitch becomes a home run instead of a strike 3, you're going to be unstoppable. Now, did you hear the difference there? It's not a criticism. It's just here's what we can do better, but it was framed around some compliments so that the kid says, wow, Dad loves watching me play, and he thinks I'm going to be great. And yeah, by the way, I guess I got to put my hands out a little quicker. It's just, it's a bit of a hokey example, but I'm telling you, Mike, what you're going through is no different than any other coach/parent that has to deal with, hey, how do we make things better? It's just a question of timing and approach. Now, what do you think?
No, I appreciate the advice. It's something, I love coaching my kids. I don't want to stop. Just there are times when it does get to a point where I think I need to back off. So this kind of stuff is great for me. And as I said, I really love your show.
Well, you know what? I got to tell you, it's great to hear from you, Mike, and thanks for listening in. I hope the advice helps. And listen, there's nothing better than coaching your kids. You do it right. It's one of the most rewarding experiences you will ever have. So we're going to get to some of your calls, here. Matter of fact, we got Chris calling in. Chris, you're on Let Them Play.
Hello, Coach Tony. How are you?
We're doing good, man. What's on your mind?
Nothing. I love yourself. Hate your football team, but that's okay.
Whoa. Hold on just one second. Love my show, hate my football team. I'm going to go out on a limb since we're in New York. I know I got listeners from all around the country, but we're a New York show, and you got a little New York twang in your voice. Dare I ask,
Your wife is a very smart person.
Oh, another Jets fan. I tell you what, Adam, we got to hire a screener because you're letting way too many Jets guys do on the line. But, Chris, all kidding aside, it was a great game. Great because we won. But we'll talk about that. I tell you what, come to Somers 202 next week, and you and Steve can try to beat me up a little bit on the Jets. But what do you think about this whole parent coaching thing?
On a different spin, I coached 3 of my daughters, and my oldest one, I've been coaching her for 7 years, and it seems we've almost built a better relationship of me being her coach. And at first, it doesn't start that way, but I guess because I have a middle daughter who and I don't get to, she hates me coaching her. So it kind of, maybe it grows when you grow together. My daughter wrote a book at school, or a little story saying the name of the book was The Coach's Daughter. So I took that as a compliment, I guess. But,
Until you read it.
no, it was very complex, Al. She's known as the coach's daughter, which she seems to be proud of. So, unfortunately, though, when you leave a game, the girl's part of the press conference on the way home. So
You call it the press conference.
Stuff, but I think it could work in two different types of ways sometimes. I can see it with different age groups of my daughters.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, and the dynamic of having more than one kid is, and listen, there's nothing wrong with having one kid, but I jokingly tell folks with one kid, including one of my brothers who has one, I was like, you know what? Sorry, you're just not a real parent. That's just it's just not the way. That's just not. There's no dynamic behind who did this. Well, it was him, and stop touching me and all that other stuff. But it does flow over into coaching because the way TJ reacts to me coaching him, my other daughter may say, I don't like that at all. And so it's just like parenting them. You have to understand the different dynamics, and I think you bring up a terrific point that it comes into play regardless of the situation. So hey, you know what? Apparently we got Bill calling back in from Virginia, and I don't want to let a new caller from Virginia slip away. Hey, Bill, you're on Let Them Play. Are we on a landline?
We're on a landline.
Excellent. What's going on, buddy?
Not too much. And for the record, it was a voice over IP line. I won't say the brand of hurting them, but it was a voice over IP line. It wasn't a cell phone, but I guess it sounded like one.
Does it rhyme with Bisco? Does it rhyme with cronage?
Closer to the second one.
Yeah, I had a feeling. Okay, I'm sorry. So, Bill, what do you think of all this, man?
Well, I've been coaching. My oldest turns 8 in March, and I've got a 4-year-old too. So I get a lot of he said stuff. But it's funny. I love coaching, and I'm incredibly passionate as a coach. And I would say probably the biggest difference from the way I try to treat the situation versus what I hear other coaches talk about. Coaches talk about all the time that they treat their son like a player.
Okay.
They treat everybody the same, which is good. What I've tried to do, and what's worked well for me, is I treat every player like my son.
That's pretty unique.
What I mean by that is, again, I'm all about. I coach a young group. I mean, we started this group when they were 5. They're not. Most of them aren't even 8 years old yet. So when any player makes a good play, we're talking high fives, we're talking hugs, we're talking anything and everything I can do to build up that one particular kid in that one particular moment. And it's not so much about what they did wrong, and I think this is where a lot of coaches miss the boat and miss the opportunity, is they're always talking about, helping the kid understand what they did wrong, and my approach is, helping the kid what they almost did right.
You know what? Take a bow, Bill, and whatever town you are in Virginia, should be very, very proud and pleased to have you in the organization, because my kids are getting older, and I'm losing sight of some of this. Your oldest is 8, and I'm telling you, you're doing it right. TJ does not remember when I coached him when he was 8 years old, but I'm telling you, I used to go bonkers. And you said hugs, and nobody talks about that. I used to hug kids all the time when they did something right, to the point where my wife would literally say, you know what, you're going to get in trouble. You can't just run around hugging. No, she would literally say it. You can't run around hugging everybody else's kids. And my response was, sure you can. Sure you can. I mean, you nailed it. 8-year-old kids, and that's how old your oldest is, they don't need to know what they're doing wrong yet. They really don't. An 8-year-old kid here's what you did wrong, no matter how you frame it. Forget about my praise sandwich and all that other hokey crap that I talk about sometimes. It does not pertain to 8-year-old kids and the little embryos that run around playing soccer as soon as they come out of the womb. You nailed it, Bill, and I'm telling you, take a bow. Kids need reinforcement, because at 8 years old, the best way for an 8-year-old kid to improve is to just continue to play and to enjoy it and to develop a passion for it. My favorite thing when I would throw batting practice, I would have a kid, if a kid hit a line drive back at me that I couldn't catch, I bought him a soda. And I would pretend to chase him like I was going to beat him up.
Well, you know, it's funny you say that, because I actually, pitching batting practice now, because, I mean, everybody knows you want to teach a kid to hit the ball up the middle.
Absolutely.
I tell them, now I'm going to regret this in a year or two, but I tell them, knock the hat off my head.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we try to do. Go back to what you said about your wife's comment. It stinks that we're in the day of the age, and I think about it all the time too, where hugging another kid could potentially get you in trouble. And I think about it. It doesn't stop me. But the other thing that I do is I try as much as I can. Now, granted, we're talking about extreme talent level, to build the parents up as much as build the kid up.
Bill, what do you do for a living?
What do I do for a living?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a child psychologist, but I feel like one.
You're not a teacher?
No, no teaching background. I grew up in a coaching family. I grew up. I got a really cool Little League background. We were 1 out away from going to the Little League World Series down in Florida back in '83.
Wow.
And matter of fact, we lost on a unexpected error, and to the team that won the Little League World Series that year.
Oh, is that the... No, that was... Wow.
That was Marietta, Georgia. We lost to.
All right. Well, okay.
And so, but, I mean, the guys that coached me, only one of them's living now, but the guys that coached me had kids that were like 10 years older than me.
So he didn't have... So here's another great dynamic. So he did not have a kid on the team.
No, the guys that coached me had grandkids my age.
Were they on the team?
No.
Oh, okay. So,
but I did play for many years for my father too. So my father, I've always grown up around coaching. I've always loved coaching. I coached for many years before I had kids.
That's awesome.
And it's just something I enjoy doing, and I do struggle. I struggle with my own son. He's a talented kid, but if he's not the best on the team, he gets upset.
You know what? Let me hang on, because I got to tell you, don't let that happen. They love the recognition when they do well. Make sure they understand that, if you're, what I used to say is, if you're going to fail big. Don't be afraid to fail. When you teach this special little kid how to embrace his failures and how to learn from them instead of thinking it's something wrong, you're going to go miles away. Now, Bill, you listening online?
Yep.
Listen, are you enjoying the show?
I am.
Do me a favor. Guys like you and the people you hang out with are the folks I need listening to this show. Please spread the word, man. I really love what you had to say, and we will certainly hope to hear from you soon. So, all right, listen, we do have a couple more folks on the line, but we're going to have to... What the hell is that? All right. Well, the phones are working, but we still have aliens attacking the station, apparently. But, hey, listen, folks, I can't forget this. With all the snow we're having, if you don't take one of these snow days and get you and your kids over to Catamount Ski Resort, you're making a monumental mistake. We were just there again this past week. It is just the best family skiing experience without having to lug a bunch of garbage across, a 2-hour drive. Catamount is literally just about an hour from Westchester, and my buddy Rich Edwards and his staff are just top flight. All the ski lift instructors know my kids by name now, and the kids really, it's the only time I can get them out of bed at 6 in the morning is when they got to go to Catamount. We love the place. Make sure you go to www.catamountski.com, and when you go there, find Rich Edwards and tell him that Coach Tony sent you. Stick around, folks. Be right back.